So now here we are inside this beautiful potential investment property for a lot of our viewers. We are actually in the living/family room. As an investment property, what you want to do is focus on a functional floor plan. You don't necessarily need to have a lot of upgrades, but what I do recommend is to have hardwood floors or laminate flooring for potential tenants. It's much easier to take care of than carpet for tenants. You want to keep the decor very neutral, so the paint colors, very neutral, could be beige, could be white, so that when tenants walk in, they can imagine themselves inside the property. When you walk into this living room, it is kind of smaller, but remember, you're not living at the property, it's going to be a tenant. Most tenants in this area are going to be young families, potentially 1 or 2 kids, but in a property like this, which is a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse, likely you'll get a young couple, perhaps young couple with 1 kid. So a living family room may be a little bit small, but it's absolutely okay for an investment property. As you walk through the place, it does have, a little bit of a backyard, a very small patio, very easily manageable for a landlord. You don't even have to get a gardener for a property like this, so it does reduce your expenses. As we walk through the property, I can show you the dining room as well as the kitchen. In the kitchen, it's very important to have countertops that are going to sustain tenants. So granite countertops, very, very inexpensive upgrade that's going to pay off in the long term as you own an investment property. Here we are in the kitchen of this beautiful property. Here is where you have the granite countertops that are always going to pay you off in an investment property. I've seen investment properties, condos, townhomes that have those square tiles with the grout. With tenants, they crack, they get dirty. You're going to end up spending a lot of money in maintaining those type of countertops. So you definitely want to invest in good granite countertop. Don't spend the extra money on the upgraded color of granite. This, something basic is perfect. When it comes to appliances for an investment property, you want to make sure your appliances are updated. They do have warranties on it, because the number one call that I get as a property manager is a dishwasher that's leaking that may eventually ruin your hardwood floors. Tenants may not be as particular about calling you as soon as a damage happens, and you don't want to deal with that. So you definitely want your appliances to have the warranty. Even if there's something small wrong with it, they can call the warranty company right away before it causes further damage. So appliances like this, stainless steel, maybe not a must in investment property. Black, white, or stainless is absolutely fine, just as long as they're newer, they are maintained, and you have the warranty. Again, we talked about the granite countertops, definitely worth the investment. When it comes to cabinets, for example, these cabinets are probably around 1990s. They're nice oak, durable cabinets. You absolutely do not want to spend money on upgrading cabinets like this. Remember, you're not living in the property, it's going to be a tenant's property, and it's for them to maintain. So you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on expensive cabinets that you may like and the tenants may not take care of. So very important. In the kitchen, this property has hardwood floors in the kitchen. I would recommend spending some money to tile the kitchen. I get a lot of calls for tenants that have a leaky garbage disposal or a leaky dishwasher, and then your hardwood floors get ruined. You don't want to get into that situation. I would tile the kitchen. In case there's a leak, you don't have further damage to the subfloor, for example, where in hardwood floors, you would have to deal with that. Coming into the kitchen further, remember, if it's a gas stovetop, you definitely want to make sure your insurance company knows that for fire liabilities. But other than that, you want to provide a microwave to your tenants. Once again, updated appliances and updated countertops always pays off. So when looking for your investment property, you want to make sure location is number one. You want to be very close to public transportation. So for example, BART would be ideal, VTA line would be ideal. Anything that's commutable to San Francisco or Silicon Valley is going to always get you the most rent. Number 2 is schools. I wouldn't focus too much on schools in the sense that if the location is good and you have a good commute factor but not good schools, it's still fine. But if you do get good schools and maybe it's a little bit out of your budget, it's definitely worth it, because you're definitely going to get more rent with a good school district. 2 very, very important factors in finding an investment property. And lastly, when owning an investment property, you absolutely want a strong property manager, unless you can do it yourself. But if you can't and you just don't have the time for it, absolutely spend the 5 to 8% a month on a good, strong property manager. Another important factor in owning investment property is to have a handyman on call. If it's an emergency situation, you want to make sure the handyman is available within a few hours, and if it's non-emergency, within 24 hours at the most. Tenants do want to get a response ASAP to their calls. A lot of my tenants actually leave their keys in their car or get locked out, and you want to make sure you have an extra set of keys, and if you don't, you want the handyman to be able to come and let them in. Another very, very important factor in keeping a handyman on call are any sort of leaks in the property. If you don't respond to leaks in the property, you could have much more damage than you anticipate. So when owning investment property, remember, location is always, always very important. You also want to have a very strong property manager. And if you don't have a property manager, you absolutely want a good, reliable handyman on call. If you're looking for investment property or even thinking about looking for investment property, I hope you found these tips to be very useful.